Hi there again, team. This is round 2 on development log, and as promised, I'm here trialing and testing some of the more challenging outcomes of our first take of motion capture using Move.ai's single camera solution. One of the key things that I figured very quickly in our first session was our lighting setup. I am by no means a photographer, so having as much light to illuminate the space and the locomotion we were trying to capture seemed like the best way to go, but I didn't think about where shadows would be cast, or that the AI that is solving for these motion capture animations would actually be using shadows to track my body. So thumbs up for having a skin-tight rash guard and suit to keep my joints in place and help the solver like that. But today we tried a few different angles of lighting rather than front on, trying to illuminate more of the three-dimensionality of my form in space, trying to cast shadows not backwards behind me and make my limbs disappear. The biggest other takeaway from our first session was the angle of my camera. Now, the situation I was in with the dive system that I was trying to make with these motion captures meant that I needed some sort of elevation and sort of an eagle eye perspective, so that as I dived and the limbs behind me disappeared from camera, I could actually find a way to mitigate that. So we had all of the limbs show up, which was great, but unfortunately filming downwards, the camera doesn't understand that horizontal is horizontal. So having the whole world tipped kind of meant cleaning up the animations later on in our pipeline became almost impossible. Tracking realistic pelvis movement through the air in a smooth trajectory, it became functionally useless. So that was something I took on board this time and tried to get a nice horizontal, perfectly even sort of keel for our AI to capture from. Also, not having a program to really animate in at that time, processing the angle of these motion captures became really difficult. To keep myself in frame while I'm diving full bore at the camera. A lot of the times I was sort of being clipped, so I would get too far out of the camera's range and we'd lose a lot of data. So what I tried to do was start my A pose where the camera starts tracking, move back to a corner and then dive at a diagonal angle so that we could capture the whole process. But unfortunately, the way that orientated things when I imported it into Unreal Engine, functionally useless again. So this time what I've tried to do, start square on and turn in 90-degree increments. That's an easy enough fix once we put it into an animating tool. Literally just rotate all of our data by 90 degrees and we're facing front again, so we have usable data. I thought with today doing a crouch to a prone and then back up to a crouch, we might need multiple angles, because being horizontal with the camera, dropping to my front, it would capture most of my torso but pretty much hide my legs. So I tried it side on and forward, and we're going to see how that works. We're going to see how that actually ends up being processed, because both of them have pros and cons for keeping my limbs visible, essentially. So we'll see how Move.ai's camera solver works with occluded limbs, and yeah, hopefully integrate this into our animation system for the game this week.